Plenty of Big Blue teams went to battle last week, so here's your weekly update. Welcome to this week's edition of Behind the Blue. Milliken Volleyball played in 4 contests last week. The Big Blue opened the week against CCIW opponent North Park on Wednesday. Milliken looked down and out after dropping the first 2 sets and even trailed by as much as 6 in the third. However, the Big Blue caught fire as they completed a massive reverse sweep and defeated the Vikings 3-2. On Friday and Saturday, the Big Blue headed up to Wisconsin for the Pointers Invitational. Milliken played 3 games in 2 days and opened against UChicago. The back-and-forth affair saw the Maroons take the win in 5. Reese Brown set a career high in digs and equaled her career high in assists from earlier in the week in the loss. In the second game on Friday, Milliken took on Bethel. Despite a valiant effort, the Big Blue fell 3-0. Saturday saw Milliken take on host school Wisconsin-Stevens Point. The Pointers couldn't be stopped en route to a 3-0 win over the Big Blue. That brings Milliken to 11-4 on the year. Despite a rough weekend of non-conference play, Milliken remains tied with Wheaton for the top spot in the CCIW. They take on rival Illinois Wesleyan at home on Friday night. Moving on to men's soccer, they took to the road Wednesday against Illinois College. After falling behind 2-0, Milliken would strike in the 74th minute. Unfortunately, it would not be enough as IC would hold on to win 2-1. Saturday saw Milliken host ranked opponent Carthage College. The Firebirds dominated possession throughout this one and broke through in the 81st minute. However, Carthage would concede their first goal in 4 games when Seth Kroll headed home a Simon Noblin cross with just 45 seconds left in regulation. Senior keeper John Kugler set a career-high 14 saves to help save a draw against the top-ranked Firebird squad. This puts Milliken at 0-6-2 on the season. They sit locked in a 4th-place tie for second in the CCIW, and this week the Big Blue are on the road against North Central and Augustana. Moving to women's soccer, they opened the week against Monmouth on Wednesday. Milliken was cruising in this one, and Big Blue were up 3-0 before conceding a penalty late to get the Scots on the board. Maddie Wood, Bailey Blecker, and Amanda Noser all scored in the win for Milliken. The Big Blue also hosted Carthage on Saturday. After going up early on a Maddie Paps free kick, Milliken would concede 2 times in the second half. Sophie Dorgan made 11 saves in the loss. Milliken stands at 4-4 on the year. They dropped to 7th in the CCIW after an 0-1 start, and they'll be in action this week against Illinois College and Augustana. Big Blue football continued CCIW play at home last week against Carroll. The back-and-forth affair saw Milliken come out victorious by a score of 32-25. Calport was 21 of 26 for 268 yards passing. Marion McGee rushed 21 times for 88 yards and a career-high 5 touchdowns on the ground. And Jaleel Lipkin led Big Blue receivers with 8 receptions for 160 yards, a career high for him as well. Milliken football moves to 2-1 on the year, remaining in a 4-way tie for the CCIW lead. The Big Blue host Carthage this Saturday at 1 p.m. Milliken Triathlon competed in their first ever home triathlon last weekend. The Big Blue came in second place as a team, finishing only behind defending national champion North Central. Senior Hope Roderick led the way for the Big Blue. Milliken is off this week. Women's golf was in action at the Deckhurt Classic over the weekend. They finished 9th with Taylor Chase leading the way, shooting a 170. They traveled to the CCIW Championships this weekend. Men's golf was at Elmhurst last week. They took 4th as a team, shooting a 317. Tyler Wrights led Milliken shooting a 75, and men's golf is in action on Sunday and Monday at the Milliken Country Club Classic. Women's tennis scored a huge win in their duels action last week. They beat rival Illinois Wesleyan, shutting out the Titans 9-0. Women's tennis stands at 5-1. They remain 4th in the CCIW. Nicole Obradovich was also named the CCIW Women's Tennis Student Athlete of the Week. This weekend, Milliken is in duels action on Friday and Saturday, both at home. Cross country put in a dominant performance at their home invitational, the H.W. Wright Classic. On the men's side, it was Dane Alexander who led the Big Blue to victory as the trio of Alexander, Olmsted, and Cuxman finished just 10 seconds apart, taking positions 3, 4, and 5. Milliken scored a team 31. Even more dominant was the women's showing. Haley O'Malley was the Big Blues' top finisher as Milliken came in first at a team 29 points. Both teams are in action this weekend on the road at Augustana. Now it's time to recognize our Big Blue Athletes of the Week. Our first athlete is Haley O'Malley. Last week, Haley finished second at the Milliken H.W. Wright Classic. She lowered her best time by 20 seconds and has consistently been the Big Blues' top finisher this season. Our second Big Blue Athlete of the Week is Marion McGee. Marion's a junior from Murfreesboro, Tennessee, and on Saturday against Carroll, McGee finished with 90 yards rushing. What was more impressive was the 5 rushing touchdowns that he scored. Marion scored every Big Blue touchdown in the win. That's all for this week's edition of Behind the Blue. Be sure to tune in next week for all your Milliken sports news. Have a great week and go Big Blue.